Hi guys, welcome back. So I'm doing a second video following up on my first one. I called it, I think, the World League, but it's called the Nations Championship now. And we've got the official statement from World Rugby, which is very useful, and I'm sure they'd have preferred to have this out first time rather than the leak, but it's worth talking about, so we'll have a look at it. So anyway, first thing they've said is Six Nations Rugby Championship and the British and Irish Lions are completely retained, protecting the jewels in the calendar. I think I'll pop up the statement on the side there. Now, that's great. British and Irish Lions will be pleased to hear they won't be fighting against this proposal. They're being factored in, so that's good. But they haven't mentioned the real jewel in the calendar, which is the World Cup. So that's interesting. Why wouldn't you mention that in that statement? Maybe it's because they know that the World Cup is going to be affected a bit. Anyway, so 2 divisions, merit-based format with promotion and relegation and potential pathways for all unions. And that's what most people wanted. It's fairer, it gives everyone a chance. However, I wouldn't be surprised if promotion and relegation didn't happen straight away, as in the first year or two, maybe not. Because remember, they're working against organisations like the Six Nations who are a bit autonomous, really. Sure, World Rugby can put loads of pressure on them, but they've still got to decide for themselves ultimately. I don't know what the legal basis is, what World Rugby could do to force that, but there's certainly going to be some teams, or many teams, who don't want relegation from that top tier. But eventually, they say that's exactly what they want. Let me know how soon you think that will be. So it's going to be 2 conferences. You've got the Six Nations teams in one conference in this top tier, and then the Rugby Championship with tier 2 teams added to make 6. Now, if you're looking at the world rankings, they've said it's based on merit. That would be Fiji and Japan. We saw the USA bandied around in the leak, but that doesn't look like it's the case if it really is merit-based. Plus, would the USA be going into the Six Nations potentially if they got promoted as the northern section there? I don't know. So each team plays each other, so all the other 11 teams once, be it home and away. That's obviously going to change, and then it accumulates to a league table. Then the top 2 teams from each conference play a cross-conference semi-final. So it's going to be North v South, which means the final could be 2 Southern Hemisphere or 2 Northern Hemisphere teams, which is fine because then you actually find out who the best team is. Although on the tier, the 12 below, that could mean one of the teams moving up, say, to the Six Nations could have actually only lost a semi-final if they were the best of the northern teams, say. But anyway, it seems like a fairer way to decide who's the best in the world. You know, it's almost a better format than the World Cup because you have your round robin, then you get the excitement of the knockouts. You know, it's cool. But it's not self-contained in a period of time, so it's not quite as good as the World Cup in that respect. But anyway, so they're going to run it in the 2 years where there's no World Cups and no British and Irish Lions. They are going to run it in the British and Irish Lions year, but truncated. So what does that mean? Not sure yet. Does it mean there's no relegation? I did read somewhere there wouldn't be relegation in that year, so it's only in the 2 years where there's nothing where there is, which kind of makes sense. Broadcast rights, they're talking about that. Basically, it's going to make a lot of money. It's one of the main reasons they've done it, not only to give all teams a chance, but to let companies, TV companies and sponsors invest on something that is continuous and pretty much every year. So that's a real big draw for them. Competition would provide ranking qualifications for the World Cup. That makes sense. It's a fairer way to rank teams than just the world ranking because they're all playing each other. Now, with the World Cup, they've made a point of saying they're going to enhance it. They clearly appreciate that the World Cup's going to be affected and they're going to need to make it different. Whether better or not is another question. Moving to 24 teams eventually. So they're going to have to make it different because this nation, otherwise it would be the Nations League, but not quite as fair. So that's a big one. Comment on that if you think that effect on the World Cup is so bad it's just not worth doing at all, which some of you believe. Some are saying don't even do this Nations Championship. But yeah, so what do you think? Is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? On balance, I think it's the sort of thing that does need to happen. But there's certainly big questions on relegation and promotion. I mean, so 6 Nations sides voting for relegation and promotion, whoever goes down, that's just a huge hit. Let's say it's Italy for argument's sake. They would then not play England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France. All the money they get from that, they'd have to fight their way back up. Or whoever goes down, if someone has a really bad idea from one of those big 5, they'd have to fight their way back up. So it is a meritocracy, but there are big implications there, big financial implications for certain sides. So big times, things are changing. What do you think of the current proposal? How do you think it will change? Would it work? Is it in general for the best? Anyway, until next time, guys, I'll see you.